Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Season 6 of Cinematic Anarchy. And in a few moments, you're going to hear the interview that I had with, well, not interview, but the podcast that I did with the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast on the Double Dragon movie. But first, before we get into that, I have brought Miss Piper on because technical difficulties kept her away from the entire recording the last time. And had I known you could have just moved to your phone, we would have done that time too.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Most of the time when we've tried my phone before, it just sounded so shitty.
Well, it doesn't sound the best, but at least you'll be able to join us.
True, but we also had trouble, sometimes staying connected even just from my phone.
Right. Oh, that is true. I remember.
But it seems to be working better than my internet right now, so.
Well, I lost you on the internet twice, so this is much better. So, we're going to give you a few minutes because we didn't get to have you on the podcast when we recorded it yesterday, and I didn't want to release it this evening without actually letting you say your piece about Double Dragon.
Yay!
Go for it. Go for it.
Go for it.
Let's start with your favorite scenes.
Well, my favorite scenes?
Yes, favorite scenes.
My favorite scene might be at the end of the movie, and I'm not making a joke about when the movie actually ends type thing. Is when the big guy, a Bobo, whatever his name was, is trying to join them, and he starts driving. Then they realize it's not Billy inside of a Bobo.
Nope. Who's driving? No, it's a Bobo driving.
Goodness,
That's
I loved it.
And then
I finally saw what you meant about the gratuitous butt scenes for Alyssa Milano.
There's a lot.
It was a quick double shot though. It was all right there in that vent.
Well, there was two. There was two scenes. There was also the first scene that she's in.
There was the first scene, but her butt was completely covered by her coat.
That didn't mean that they weren't cocking their heads trying to see what was going on as she was bending down.
But we didn't see that.
We didn't see it until the second scene where she bent down.
Yeah, then they were trying to fight to get in behind her.
Yep, they're both fighting to get into the vent right behind her. No, my butt, your butt, no, my butt.
I really don't have a worse scene. You kind of... Me watching it for the first time now, I kind of have to take it for what it is, a lot of 90s cheese.
Yeah.
Which, I grew up in the 90s, I loved it. I actually did not hate this movie like a lot of people give it shit for. I did not hate it at all. I would actually watch it again. It's not as bad as some, people have made it out to be. To me, then again, I grew up in the 90s. I've seen a lot worse.
I watched it 3 times in a 1-week span. I think I've had enough.
Yeah, but you didn't like it to begin with.
Well, okay, let me just say, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that the person that I tried to do this podcast with previously, we couldn't find enough to say about it. And I realized we needed more than just 2 people going back and forth. Because, well, there's a lot to unpack. There's some bad stuff. It's not the best movie, but it's not the worst either.
I was I'm not saying it's the best movie. I'm not saying here let's give it a Golden Globe.
No.
No. I'm just saying it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Wasn't the best movie I've ever seen, but it is a movie that I actually enjoyed.
I'll watch the original Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo multiple times before I watch this again.
I love that movie.
It's
we'll talk about that when we get to that one.
We'll wait. We got a lot of people that want to be on that one.
Yes. As far as my little nitpicks, some of the considering they had Mark Dacasocos on there, some of the action scenes, some of the stunts, I'm just that could have been timed or shot at a different way where it actually looked like it actually hit somebody.
True.
In the I think when we saw Satori trying to protect the boys so they can get away in the theater or whatever, she throws this knee to the Liquidator's stomach, because I forgot his name. Koga. His name is Koga in this film. Played by the guy who played the Liquidator.
The Liquidator?
Yeah. I didn't... What was it, T-1000?
It's a Terminator 2, yes.
Yeah. But, that one, I was ooh. And then that I have to nitpick on this, because I'm if you're going to be a sexy bitch in heels, I'm going to need you to wear something better than a little, piss heel.
Well, she was a sexy bitch in heels for all of 1/10 the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, but she wore heels the whole way through. Those little piss heels.
Am I talking about the wrong person?
The blonde with a whip?
Oh, Lash.
Yeah, is that her name?
That's her name. Yes, Lash.
That's her lame.
That's her lame, yes.
But it's she had this little pissy heel, maybe 2 inches, and I'm just bitch, if you're gonna wear a heel,
We just
must be a sexy bitch with a whip.
We're just gonna nickname her Lucy Lashless.
Lucy Lashless.
Yes.
Why, was there a problem with her eyelashes?
No, but she did lose her lash at the end of the movie.
She did, and she looked so upset when Alyssa Milano cut it. She looked so upset.
Bolt cutters to cut the whip.
Cut my whip. It's
well,
like as if you haven't used other things to fight with.
She rendered fake Catwoman powerless.
Yes, she did.
She can't fight without the whip. Oh, well, okay. She can fight with a blade, too, because she did practically take those guys out of the ceiling mid-movie.
Yeah, and then she tried to use it, but then she lost it, and she went back to her whip.
But she was powerless without the whip, basically.
Yeah, without her whip.
Whip. Okay.
There's pretty much my only nitpicks. As far as one other thing I have to nitpick is Alyssa Milano's voice did not always sound like Alyssa Milano. A lot of it sounded like more high-pitched than she normally does her things.
She constantly sounded like she was asking questions even though she was making statements.
That too. There was just, like, I love Alyssa Milano as an actress. There's some things in her personal things that she does that I don't like, but, you know, as an actress, that's where I'm judging. I just, like, half of her things just sounded really, like, off-pitch for Alyssa Milano.
There's a lot of things I enjoy about Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano? Me mama. There's a lot of things I enjoy about her. She was like a childhood crush of mine, but that pixie dude was never attractive on her.
I didn't like that pixie dude when it was brown and on Charmed for a whole season.
So best and worst acting performances.
Worst, I would go with Lucy Lashless.
Lucy Lashless. Wow. So it was a general consensus on the podcast. Actually, I won't tell you what the general consensus is until we're done here. But you didn't pick what everybody else picked. There was one particular person everybody shit on. I won't tell you who it is until we're done here. Okay, best performance.
Best performance?
Best performance.
That's hard.
You got to think about that one.
There wasn't one that was particularly great at all.
Okay.
It's like, I mean, you know, I don't know. Best performance. Let's give it to Koga.
You're gonna give it to Robert Patrick?
I am.
I mean, he was ramping up the cheese. He chewed up the scenery while he was in that movie. He really did.
As much as I love Alyssa Milano and her acting, and as much as I think Mark Dacasocos is hot, I really have no opinion about Scott Wolf that much. It's like I'd have to give it to Koga.
Scott Wolf was a byproduct of his time, really. He's been in a couple things since. Yeah, he was a byproduct, like the afterbirth of his time. But I don't really like Scott Wolf. It was fine for the whole Party of Five thing way back when. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I have. Like I know he was in it. And I know of it, but I never watched it.
The reason for Jennifer Love Hewitt's existence, if I'm not mistaken.
Good old Jennifer Love huge tits.
Was it Lacey Chabert? Is that what her last name is? Was also
Lacey Chabert.
Chabert? Really?
Yeah, I think that's it. Chabert.
I don't think I like that. I don't like that pronunciation. I want to go back to the other one.
But you like Chabert? Lacey Chabert?
I like that better. It rolls off the tongue better than Chabert. Chabert. Da-da-da-da. Okay, anyway.
I mean, let's also not forget, Lacey Chabert was the one who gave hand jobs in Not Another Teen Movie as the perfect girl.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so you're going to give that to Robert Patrick. Okay. Now, anything else?
I like him. I think he's a good actor.
Anything else you really want to say about the movie? You had a question, you said.
Yes, I do.
What's the question?
I would fuck with those two brothers. Like, was one adopted? Because, I mean, in the video game, I think they're actual brothers. But here, it was like, one was definitely way more Asian than the other.
I think they were saying that Scott Wolf refused to bleach his hair blonde for this movie, too. So one was blonde and the other one was definitely a brunette. I feel like possibly adopted or possibly just half-brothers. Yeah,
it's just like they never go into it. Like, it's like, or maybe they're just people who claim each other as brothers, but they both have the same last name.
They were supposed to have the same dad, so possibly different moms.
I mean, that's possible. It's just like, it gets confusing when some things are like, I don't know.
I hate when they make a movie where they pick brothers, and it happened a lot in the 80s and 90s where they weren't trying to even cast so the two people looked similar. It was just vastly different people. It's like, this just makes no sense. How is mom and dad, they look like this, and brother look like this? First of all,
I shouldn't even be asking this question.
No.
Because I did like the Rodgers and Hammerstein's version of Cinderella with Brandy. So it's like her stepsisters, neither one of them were the same color, and the mom was white as hell.
Yeah, but the stepsisters.
Well, they were Cinderella stepsisters.
Yes.
One stepsister was white, one stepsister was black. While Bernadette Peters, the stepmother, was completely white. I'm going to guess Brandy's dad was supposed to be black, but she had those other two before she got with him.
Stepmom might have been a little bit of a hoe.
A floozy. Well, it's Bernadette Peters. We'll call her a floozy.
Oh, okay. Floozy. Or,
we respect Bernadette.
We can call her a promiscuous flibberty gibbet. A promiscuous flibberty gibbet. Yes?
Flibbity gibbet.
Sure.
Flibbity gibbet.
That reminds me, I need to set my micro-digital awaker tomorrow.
Right. You got to give it that Meg Ryan accent. The thing that she did in the movie.
Flibbity gibbet.
That thing you
micro-digital awaker.
You keep trying to add.
I haven't said that word enough this year. I need to say it more often.
I know. Flibberty gibbet.
I could be a bit of a flibberty gibbet. Just a little bit. Without the accent.
What's a flibberty gibbet?
Flibberty gibbet? I believe I can be one. However, it could be a fuddy-duddy. I'm not sure.
Ah, okay.
No, I don't think a flibberty gibbet is a fuddy-duddy. I think a flibberty gibbet is just sort of a flighty, kind of all over the place kind of person.
Oh, I can be a flibberty gibbet.
I believe that's what it is. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm not Googling it in the middle of the podcast. I think I Googled it when we did Joe versus the Volcano. I don't need to go back and do that again.
Oh, yeah, that movie.
All right. And the final part before we go ahead and dip out and let the podcast actually start. What would you rate it? 1 to 11.
5.
You're going to rate it a 5, like right down the middle? Well, not right down the middle. A 5 is just a little bit below half.
I gave it a 5.5.
Why would you give it a 5?
I'll give it a 5.5. Why would I give it a 5?
Yes.
Like I said, I personally liked it, but I could see where there was a lot of problems.
Okay.
And like some of the acting wasn't up there for me, and then some of the, like it being Double Dragon, some of the stunts weren't there for me. Now I give them props that they were using a lot of the environment like you would in the actual game, but still there was like, for it to be a martial arts type movie like that, a lot of the stunts weren't there for me.
I think my rating was around like a 7.5 if I'm not mistaken. Maybe an 8.5. It was a higher rating. I would have rated it a little higher, but I think we were all insulted that they actually sidekicked a cabinet game version of Double Dragon at the end of the movie.
That was like, I was actually watching it with other people in a Discord call, and I was just like, they have a fucking Double Dragon arcade game in Double Dragon.
Which they took out promptly. But
still, they were like, the whole thing about the medallion was becoming the Double Dragon. Why would you have the fucking arcade game in there?
Maybe it opened a portal to like a different dimension where Double Dragon only exists as a video game rather than their more realistic version.
It only exists if you can walk sideways.
All right. I really appreciate you stopping in tonight, and hopefully we can have you on more of the actual podcast without any technical difficulties.
Here's hoping.
And now, for our podcast, our episode on Double Dragon.
Hey guys, this is your warning. We do post up spoilers. At times we're relatively offensive. We use vulgar language. So if you think that any of those are gonna offend you in any way, shape, or form, take your step back right now. Cause buddy, this is not the place for you. Anywho, have fun listening to us. And yeah, this has been your final warning.
Welcome to another episode of Cinematic Anarchy, the podcasting equivalent of a kitten on catnip trapped in a room of laser pointers. Today we are going to go ahead and start Season 6 of Cinematic Anarchy with a fantastically campy movie from the 1990s. 1994 to be exact, Double Dragon. And joining me today we have Matt and Rachel from the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast. Currently, just Rachel. Hi.
Yeah, hi. And hi, I'm Matt. I'll do both. It's fine.
You can do the voiceover for Matt for a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I know what he'd say. It's okay.
Just to talk back and forth amongst yourself.
I will. As usual.
And do you want to... I'm going to throw you under the bus. I do this on occasion to people. Would you like to provide a very quick synopsis of the film that we watched?
You did this to me last time, actually, too.
did.
I had to synopsisize the Phantom of the Paradise.
I didn't do it to you that time, though. That was Dan. That was Dan from
okay.
Clockout Films. He just kind of like, hey, we did it the last time. You guys can do it this time.
This is about, okay, we'll just leave aside the 90s whitewashing of the fact that these two characters are supposed to be, I guess okay, it's fine. We'll get there. So, it's the tale of a magical medallion that has been split in half, and the evil overlord of New Angeles has discovered half of the amulet and needs to find the other half, which is conveniently located in New Angeles. So he just has to go home and go on a slight weekend trip to try to get it from these two bumbling brothers who defend it with their kung fu skills and witty wisecracks.
I would say that Scott Wolf's character is a little bit more bumbling than Mark Dacasocos.
Yeah.
Mark Dacasocos seems to be the straight man to Scott Wolf's goof.
Well, I kind of have a soft spot for him anyway. I'll admit to being slightly biased because he is the Crow in Crow Stairway to Heaven.
Okay.
The television show.
That was like the last iteration of The Crow before it all dropped off.
The television show.
Yes.
The 1 season long television show, yeah, where it's like a superpower. He can like become the Crow and it like changes his face. He doesn't put the makeup on, it just becomes. And I actually saw the television show before I watched the movie, so I have a soft spot for the television show.
I was thinking that you were like into Iron Chef.
Oh, also the chairman in Iron Chef. Yeah.
Right.
Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, the guy from The Crow.
Of course, he's like thoroughly bald now, though, isn't he? He started balding, so he just kind of buzzed it.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell. You could tell even back then that the hair was just starting to creep up to a widow's peak.
Yeah.
Kind of like to keep it long and flop it in his face a little bit.
He can't be that old in this.
No,
they both
not at all.
seem very young. So is Alyssa Milano. She's super young in this.
Well, I mean, Mark Dacasocos right now, he's 60 years old, so he must have been just hitting his 30s around then, right?
1994 was 30 years ago.
30 years ago,
This is a 30th anniversary, so yeah,
30s.
He'd be 30.
He'd been in cheesy martial arts films for quite a while before landing this role.
Of course he was. He knows martial arts and he looks Asian enough, so and it was the 90s, so that's all it was required.
Scott Wolf acts just well enough to look like he knows martial arts.
Yeah, true.
I think my wife had a big crush on Scott Wolf growing up, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas transversely, I had the crush on Alyssa Milano, so we both had a crush on either side of that one couple.
Well, isn't this the year before Alyssa Milano is in Embrace of the Vampire?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1995. She was in Embrace of the Vampire, Fear the following year.
Where she's full tits out, so...
Well, she had several movies like that.
Yeah. I was like, because I was asking Matt what it said on her shirt, and I was like, I know you're looking at her shirt. What does it say on that green shirt? And he was like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, well, if we watch Embrace of the Vampire, you get full Alyssa Milano. So...
I mean, there's several people that went through the 90s that had that stint.
Yeah,
kind of
that phase. That, yeah.
You can't find a shirt. Oh, let's make a movie. You know.
It's fine. She does okay in this. I like her hair. I like the blonde bob.
I'm kind of half and half on the pixie do. It looked like more of a pixie do. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was pixie and it was bleach blonde.
I don't know shit about hair, so I couldn't tell you what it is. I thought it was a pixie do.
Yeah, it's a pixie cut. It is. Yeah.
She had the manic pixie dream girl thing going, you know.
Yeah. Oh, she did. Yeah.
Oh, what did she reminded me a little bit of Lori Petty. A little like Lori Petty. Tank Girl.
Yes, Tank Girl with the kangaroo guys.
A slightly softer style. Yes, the kangaroo guys.
Yeah.
Come on, my favorite thing, Ice-T is a kangaroo, man. That's just...
Yes, that's who it is, Ice-T. I was
Ice-T
like, I know there's a rapper in it, like a 90s rapper. I can't remember who.
Ice-T. To this day, I think he is living down the penance of having put out that Cop Killer song.
Oh.
And ever since, he's been in, Law and Order SVU? Just as a cop.
Oh.
It's like, we're not going to put you in jail. We're not going to censor you, but... do we have a role for you? Detective Tutuola.
You're going to be a cop in perpetuity. Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
I love that this was a cyberpunk kung fu action movie. They were like, what are the big things right now? Well, we've got cyberpunk. Everybody seems to be all about that. And kung fu is kind of a thing. Let's roll with that. And then action's great. We like action, so let's make a cyberpunk kung fu action movie.
Yeah, I feel like cyberpunk anyway. This was sort of definitely 90s version of cyberpunk. Right now it would be very different. This is all like old Radio Shack material, cyberpunk.
Yeah. the satellite computer she uses at the beginning, where she like opens the box and it's these like 2 keyboard chunks and they're like this, and she has to like boop 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 boop, and then it like sends a satellite signal.
Like somebody just sort of snapped the keyboard in half, placed it in there diagonally,
placed it at an angle, but not like at a sensible angle like this. It's like this.
That is so like some serious carpal tunnel, just oh, not going to be able to use that forever. No, I liked the movie and I didn't like the movie. There were a lot of things that were like, it was the perfect amount of cheese, and then at a certain point they said some things that I just kind of cringed about, like, oh, you can't be. There was a fight.
Not right now.
Between Alyssa Milano. So we have Marion and Linda Lash. I guess her first name's Linda. I don't remember hearing it during the movie at all.
It doesn't matter.
Played by Christina Wagner. Very end of the movie. So I'm skipping over everything.
Yeah, no, go for it.
And there's a fight between them. And for a moment, Lash kind of kicks Marion's butt and stands over and says, "Who's the boss now?"
Yeah, because she was in Who's the Boss.
To which a few... yes. No, well, Christina Wagner says that to Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
And then a few moments later, she retorts, after she basically ties her up with her own whip, "Generally, I put people in the hospital."
Right, because she's a general hospital girl.
Yes. And I have watched this movie a few times, and that didn't click for me the first few times. This one time, watching it today as I'm eating, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Yeah. Bad puns. There's a lot of puns in here that were pretty fun, but that was just...
Yeah. That feels pretty... It feels like... I feel like every decade has its comedies that are really self-referential. Like, later generations, like, if my niece watched this, she'd never get either one of those jokes. But we get it because we know them from those things.
Right.
It's like we watched... Well, because George Hamilton is in this, we watched Love at First Bite. And Love at First Bite is like a who's who of 70s self-referential humor.
Right.
It's all 70s, like 70s pop culture jokes. And so a lot of them don't hit because I'm like, what? I don't know that joke. And so you have to look it up, or you have to like read the trivia, or you just have to let it admit. And that's what this feels like. Like, this was like a who's who of 90s jokes. Like, they're campy enough, and they know they're campy enough, and they're trying to capitalize on all the other campy movies that are happening right now by pulling in humor from the other campy movies poorly.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like some of this was actually written specifically to reach certain one-liners throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 characters specifically, and I'm hoping you caught this one line. The henchman.
Yes.
Huey
and Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one bit where he's like, Huey, Lewis, what's the news? Like, you could tell Robert Patrick for like all of a split second, the look on his face when he asked that, he was just elated to have just spit that line out. And then immediately went into the rage of, why can't I just conquer this one city,
Yeah, I just want to conquer completely one city in North America. Why can't I do that?
With my henchman, Huey Lewis.
Yeah. There's one liner when they do there's the fight in the movie theater, and he like closes the briefcase on the guy's hair, which in no way incapacitates him. It just closes the briefcase on his hair. And he goes, he's a basket case, or he makes some crack about him being like his
What a basket case. Yes.
What a basket case. And you're like, but that didn't defeat him though. You shut a suitcase, which came out of nowhere, by the way, on this guy's ponytail just to make that crack.
Yeah. That's why, I mean...
It didn't hit me, thought it was gonna.
It's not a bad movie by any stretch in the imagination, but it is definitely... I remember not liking it back when I first watched it, and I'm gonna let you in on a little bit. We had a guy named Seth, who was on this podcast with us previously. First 3 seasons we had Seth. There was a lot of things that Seth said that people did not like him for, and so we tried to get a segment started. Everybody hates Seth, and we had a few people throw things at him, but it never stuck. But we tried to do this particular movie with him, and back then when we tried to do that a few years, maybe 4 years ago, we couldn't come up with anything. Nothing to talk about. So in 4 years' time, I've grown an appreciation for a movie that I've probably watched 6 times.
Well, you got some distance, maybe. I don't know. I feel like 90s comedies don't age well. Like, I don't know what it is about this style of 90s, but you have to plumb your nostalgia depth and pull out that, like, quirky, campy, cheesy, corny, like, awful humor and remember that it was funny. Whereas from, like, if I watch Solar Babies, which is people saving the world on roller skates.
That is a great film, though.
I'm in that movie, and it's equally as ridiculous, but for some reason, it hits a lot better than this movie. And there's just something about the quality of 90s comedy that it just does. Like, we watched Ace Ventura with the kids. I was like, I remember this movie was really funny, and I watched it and I was like, this is horrible. I can't.
There's so many things. Oh, wow.
As a child? Oh, my God. Like, I didn't watch the first one because I remember that it's problematic. So I was like, we're going to skip that one. We'll just go straight to the second one because it's funny.
That wasn't less problematic.
No. I know. I don't know what it was. And it's like The Mask. A lot of them I will not go back and rewatch because I'm like, I want to remember them. Like, I want them enshrined. I don't want to go back and revisit my past loves and realize they're not what I thought they were. But I feel like for 80s movies I can go back over and over again and I'm like, yeah, that was campy and ridiculous and I loved it. It was fine. I don't care. But this feels so quintessentially that, like, 90s cheese. And you just have to be in it.
A lot of 90s films, like, you went from the 80s where the jokes were just the jokes. There wasn't any particular malice behind a lot of the jokes. And into the 90s, all of a sudden, it was sort of the joke at this particular person's expense.
Maybe that's what it is.
There was a lot of that. And so
a lot of insult comics.
Well, it became how far can we push this particular joke before it becomes too offensive for anybody to laugh at. And so they did a lot of that in the 90s.
It was like The Nutty Professor and then the sequel. They were like, oh, everybody loved the fart jokes. Let's just have a whole movie of fart jokes. And spoiler alert, nobody liked the whole movie full of fart jokes.
No. I think that people started getting tired of Eddie Murphy playing every single role within his own film.
Yeah. Well, that had its moment. Of course, it had the moment in the 90s because it was Austin Powers. Michael Myers did that. He did that in I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yep.
And, for a while that was hysterical and we loved it. And then after a while we're like, you can hire other people. It's okay.
You can.
It's okay.
I think Eddie Murphy did it a little bit more than most people did, which is kind of why they got tired of him. Like, you go through that, then there's the 2 Nutty Professor movies, then Norbit, and then to a lesser extent Meet Dave, which was sort of a Eddie Murphy inside an Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Something about the plucky teenage repartee in this movie just ground my gears. Like when they meet Alyssa Milano and she's supposed to be the, like, vigilante terrorist running this organization that's, like, standing up to the gangs. And you can tell because they're all wearing bucket hats and tie-dye. And no one was dirty. Nobody was dirty in the whole movie. Alyssa Milano was dirty for like 30 seconds, and then we cut back to her shirt is green again.
There was an entire scene, like some of those kids, like the urchins that meet them at the bottom of the, I guess the doorway slide. Use other door, please. Yeah. No, we'll use this one. They get ejected into these kids that look like dirty little street urchins from I wanted to say, Oliver Twist, maybe. Except for they were all dressed in, from what I could tell, sort of like 90s, almost Jamaican style shirts.
Yeah.
So.
And she's like, "Oh, you could have used the stairs."
Okay. So the children happen to be the dirtiest people in this entire movie, the little children.
Yeah, that's it. And even they're not that. It's supposed to be post-apocalyptic, but somehow they have this hangout spot that's like nice. Like they have bespoke furniture that matches the theme. And they have, like, separate game rooms. They have all of these coin-operated arcade games.
Oh, this is definitely like the Lost Boys treehouse here. Except for built out of an old, I'm guessing, cement factory.
Who knows?
I have no idea.
It felt like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they go to the Foot Clan's, like, hangout.
Yeah,
and
I feel that.
They have all the, like, here's our skate park and here's our arcade and we've made it so that kids are happy here because that's how we're indoctrinating the children. Like, that's what it felt like.
Wasn't that like one of Sam Rockwell's first roles, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
like
I
the
think so,
original
right at the
Teenage
beginning.
Mutant Ninja Turtle. It was,
Yeah.
wow. I tried to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and I fell off halfway through Ninja. Just
It's fine. We got you.
Okay. No, there was a lot of good back and forth in this. There was a lot of really bad back and forth. That first, like you were saying, that first instance where she pops up, that whole thing where she kind of leans on, was it a bat or whatever? Or was it or a 2x4 maybe? I'm not sure. It's just like, you guys need any help? You
Something.
sure? You sure you don't need help?
Yeah, she shows up after they've... Well, no, did they vanquish the bad guys? The bad guys run off because the power core shows up or whatever. And they're like, we're just after this computer, which is the gang link. And it's like the... it's like the chat room all the gangs are in. And now I've got the special device that connects to it. And then we never see that again. I think we see it like one time.
That was their version, I guess, of the internet? I don't know what that was.
And they have one on their car. Like
internet?
He pulls down his vanity mirror and he has one in the mirror. He like boop 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 like what's in this car. And that's when we meet Abobo for the first time, which I like to think that maybe Abobo is actually the real hero of this movie.
Bobo, yep.
Because he's the only one who has meaningful change in the whole movie.
Oh, that is kind of true.
Yeah.
That is true. Though you kind of I'm thinking the Goonies. The Goonies.
Yeah.
Is it Sloth that I'm thinking of?
Sloth.
He's kind of the Sloth of this movie, with the exception of the fact that he doesn't start off as Sloth. He is made into Sloth.
Right. With was it like submolecular steroids or something?
Yes, he's like, I've got the strength. He goes, this is going to give you the strength of 10 men. He's like, I've already got the strength of 10 men. This is going to kill me.
He's like, nah, it's fine.
So he seemed semi-intelligent until he got all roided out.
Yeah.
And he looked like something that was just shy of exploding.
Yeah, and then he did get tortured with spinach. So
there was a lot of fart jokes there too. They're just piping spinach into his system. He's like, no more spinach. And that's why they tied him up to the toilet, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, you stay in here. You're not too far away from where you're definitely going to need to be for the next few hours.
You gotta have that potty humor. That's what dates it.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of potty humor in the 90s.
Yeah.
This was kind of to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
And what kind of post-apocalyptic world do we live in that we end up with news anchors Vanna White and George Hamilton?
And Andy Dick. Andy Dick is like the weather guy.
Andy Dick, at least, he felt animated. I don't like Andy Dick all that much. But here, he's like, if you got a smog machine, try to stay near it, and if you don't, get a job.
Get a job. It was just
very dystopian.
Hi, Matt.
That was
hello.
me. I did a really good Matt impression.
She was trying to do a voiceover earlier, kind of play both sides, but
I was like, "Hi, I'm Matt," but he didn't believe it. It was
nah.
fine.
Oh, okay.
They were holding on to this PG-13 rating with the skin of their fucking fingertips. Like, there's the part where it's the huge gang meeting, and they're like, the gangs. They have a whole, like, curfew in New Angeles for this, and the guy walks in, he's like, you little snarf. I was like...
I think that one F-bomb.
That one at the very end. The very end.
Yeah. They were like, no, we can't. Like, we can't cuss. We got to save it because we got to get that PG-13, which I guess they made them martial artists to try to get the PG-13. Because in the video game, they're more of a dirty, like, street fighting kind of game.
Like thugs?
Like, yeah. And so they figured if they did, that would seem too, vulgar or aggressive.
Okay. I can see that.
Far more weaponry in the game than there is shown here. And I don't remember vicious mailmen in the game at all.
The part where he jumps off the roof and he's like, what does he say? You got a package or something, special delivery? And he
I got a package for you, special delivery, and then he jumps basically to his death.
No, he comes back later because
right.
they pull him into the water again later.
That's right.
But the whole boat scene was it was a lot. And then that rocket flies over him and you can see the string the rocket is on. Like, it's like a rope.
They didn't use clear monofilament wire. They used black wire.
Oh, did you guys use a zip line for that? Oh, that's horrible. No.
I mean, it was fine.
Keeps the production cost down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things here that probably kept their production costs down. I think they had some reused... my brain checked out. I was thinking reused like stages here, reused scenery.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was
Recycled
one.
sets.
I'm trying to remember. It was near the beginning of the movie where they went to go get the first half of the Double Dragon medallion, and that I really feel like that was part of the old Mortal Kombat, or maybe Mortal Kombat used that. I think that came afterwards, if I'm not mistaken.
Like Dark City and The Matrix.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm saying this was reused. They used it first, and then Mortal Kombat stole it from them, maybe.
They recouped some of their costs by selling it off. Let's say it that way. They were like, we didn't make money on the movie, which it has a 12% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I usually don't put a lot of stock.
It's better than 0.
I don't put a lot of stock in Rotten Tomatoes, but 12% is pretty good. It's not the lowest movie we've done, but it's close.
Didn't we do the lowest movie?
We did 0%. That was Highlander 2.
Ah.
Yeah.
You didn't like Highlander 2?
Oh, I love Highlander 2, but nobody else does.
I like most of the Highlander movies. I really do.
Cyberpunk Kung Fu action movie, Highlander 2.
Isn't that what we're doing here, mostly?
Yeah, same thing. Oh, when did it come
a little
out?
less kung fu. The fighting's not quite as believable in this movie.
Oh, that's
how
true.
about,
That's
how
fair.
about instead of martial arts, it's like HEMA, the historical European martial arts, where they do like longsword fighting and stuff.
Yeah, see?
That's Highlander.
1991 is Highlander 2, so I'm going to say this is a ripoff.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Just a
The
little.
Quickening.
I mean, if you're going to rip
A
off any
PG-13
Highlander,
ripoff. Yeah.
rip off the one that most people don't like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
rip
fine.
off the one that
It's
the
fine.
fans disown.
What one? Oh, we
Nobody's
don't-
coming after you.
We don't acknowledge it exists. It's fine.
The mythological.
Highlander 2.
Highlander
I don't
movie.
know why we went Highlander 1, Highlander 3.
That's so weird.
So weird.
You like Endgame? Was it Endgame? No. Was that the third,
I like-
the fourth one?
The fourth one's Endgame. That's the one where McLeod, like Duncan, kills Connor.
Right. So the television show decides to take over the movies, and that was disappointing as far as I was concerned.
I think the guy who played Connor McLeod was like, "Can I please be fucking done now?" And they were like, "All right, fine, we'll kill you off." Christopher
Lambert.
Yeah, he didn't even speak English when they cast him. I want to know what was going through the casting director's mind. They were like, "This guy's gonna get it if he could just speak English. He's perfect."
Well, I mean, he had the right moves. He had the right look.
Yeah,
Didn't speak the right language, but we can work with that.
we can work with
he
that.
pulled
It's
off
fine.
a consistent vibe.
You know what? It
and I
gives
think
him.
it worked.
It gives him that exotic accent, which I think works
Yes.
really well. Yeah,
Lots of different
lots
places.
of different places.
Nothing against
We were just
Highlander
talking about
fans.
Bobo.
I preferred him in The Fortress.
He's in a really shitty vampire movie too.
He's in a lot of shitty movies. He really is.
That's fair.
Nobody looked at the guy from the Highlander movies and went, "You know what? We can do better." No, they're like, "You know what? We have something for you. You probably need a paycheck."
Yeah, we've got something for you. You'll be perfect for it. Actually, the lady who plays Satori, not to bring it back to the movie we're supposed to be talking about,
Yeah, we
but
should be doing
Julia
that, yeah.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Julia Nixon. She was married to David Soul, the guy from Salem's Lot.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she's in Babylon 5 too.
Which would be the reason for the child. Okay. China Soul.
Yeah, China Soul.
Okay.
I loved her floating head at the end.
Yeah, her floating head at the end was just over the top.
That's saying something in this
was
movie.
Was her ghost bound to the medallions
It
or
was
something?
fine. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. She came back. It's fine.
This is their version of the Force Ghost.
Yeah, exactly. It's the double dragon ghost. Didn't you see they got special outfits and everything?
So up until I watched this movie, my experience with Double Dragon was back in the day, I guess early 90s, we would go to Blockbuster and pick out a movie or two and a video game or two, and the video games were slim pickings, but they always had Double Dragon crossover with Battletoads. And
Wow.
my brother and I rented that video game probably 6 or 8 times.
I feel like that would have improved this movie.
Just throw Battletoads in there.
The Battletoads just...
I can see, look, like, based on how this movie went, I can see why Battletoads would have had a similar vibe to Double Dragon, like, after the movie came out. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was... Yeah, it
Why?
was just mostly like a side-scroller, like, punch game.
Yeah, beat 'em
Yeah.
up.
Now, I remember like the original Battletoads game. They said it was is just about as difficult as the old TMNT game on the NES.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it was really difficult. I was going to ask, and if I'm not mistaken, aren't most of the Battletoads basically named after skin conditions? Like rash, zit, and pimple.
Names.
Rash, zit, and pimple.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So basically,
Nice.
anthropomorphic.
Less PC Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Much less. Well, I mean, you're not using the name of like Italian like artists or anything to that nature.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Were they trying to go for something that was a little bit more teen friendly? Like, oh, we're going to get a giggle out of this.
Teenage Mutant Ninja.
Well,
Amphibian.
well, I feel like it fits. It fits in with the overall '90s like gross humor, the like fart jokes,
Yeah.
poop jokes.
Fair enough. This is like early
Yeah.
90s, like 91.
What was the little boy version of the oven, the baking oven thing? Creepy crawlers.
Oh, creepy crawlers. Yeah.
Oh, the gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make your own gummies. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the
It was
creepy
like
crawler.
insect gummies.
Before this,
I had that. I didn't have the Easy Bake Oven.
before this movie, my first experience with Double Dragon was literally I used to go up to Salisbury Beach in New Hampshire. Oh, not New Hampshire, that's Massachusetts still, so it's on the just the other side of Hampton Beach up here. And they had several arcades up there. And now it's been relegated to the antique arcade machines, but they had the old Double Dragon arcade machines, the arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
And I'd go down there and just waste like $20-$30 playing the game. And I wouldn't get very far. Like, I was horrible with these games. So literally, when I said I wasted $30, I wasted it. It was done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get frustrated. I'd beat the hell out of the machine.
Did you?
Huh?
You didn't even get better, did you?
No, I didn't get any better. It's just $30 into the machine. They got their money, and I got frustration. That's what I got.
Win-win.
I think I might have had Double Dragon on the NES. I just don't think I ever played it because it was too hard.
I currently have it on the PlayStation. I bought a package of like old beat 'em up games, including River City Ransom and stuff like that. So like stuff
Nice.
that was like old NES games and things that were I think Neo Geo at the time.
Okay.
So like old beat 'em up games, kind of like Double Dragon. It was
Yeah.
like the first three, and then it was a bunch of there was the River City Ransom and a bunch of Japanese like follow-ups to those games that I've never
Yeah.
seen before. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm playing through games I don't recognize. I don't actually understand because they didn't give you the translated version either. It's all in Japanese.
And you don't have the nostalgia to drive you on.
Yeah.
Just
Those old games are hard. You go back and play those games now, they're difficult.
those beat 'em
Even
up
there's,
games
like-
are even more difficult if you add in having to pick up your phone and do Google Translate every time something comes up in Japanese.
Oh, yeah. Added level of difficulty. You wouldn't even have had that, 10 years ago, so at least you got that going for you.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
We found one of those little old, like, shops where people turn in video games and they resell them. And I took the kids in there, and there were, like, Atari games and NES games and Super Nintendo games, and they had an in-the-box Rob for NES, and the kids were like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And I'm like, well, actually, I'm not old enough for Atari, so thanks so much for that. But, like,
I had an Atari.
but, like, I remember the rest. It was just really funny. Do you want to get this? Like, no, honey, we don't have the game system to play that out of it.
I've earned my gray here. I'm old enough to remember Atari. I had the 2600 and the 5200. I had the Jaguar.
Nice.
Failed machine. I fondly remember playing the old Qbert games and Popeye for some reason. I remember a Popeye game that was just repetitive.
They're all repetitive.
Well, it's all those early games, they didn't have much going for them. It's just
Right, they couldn't even program randomness. So, like, I was playing some NES game with the kids, and they were like, how do you know where all the stuff is? And I'm like, because it's the same every time, guys. Like, it's not random. You just have to remember it.
it's like if you remembered
And
this
apparently
back
I
to
still
front,
do.
it's
Yeah,
muscle memory at that point.
yeah, like a Mario, like Super Mario. They were like, how do you know where all the hidden stuff is? And I'm like, misspent youth, y'all. Like, this is all I did. Find all the hidden one-ups.
Oh yeah, Mario 64.
Well, Mario 6, but then just like the Super Mario. Because I had the NES, that's what I played. We had a Commodore 64 when we got married. And Matt was like, I'm going to hook the Commodore 64 up to the TV. And so he, like, took the top off.
It
and
had
he
like
took...
the adapter box.
Yeah.
to convert it to coax.
And he pulled the, like, shielding off it, and it showed up on the TV. And we were like...
But it wasn't actually connected.
I was like,
There was a coax cable coming off of the TV, and then, like, a couple feet away was the converter, like the RCA plug to coax converter box. And I opened it up because I thought there was a loose connection or something, and then it popped up on the TV. I was like, what is going on? And it was leaking so much like signal.
It literally just popped up on the TV like wirelessly.
The dangling wire.
It was so weird, and I was like, "We're gonna get cancer or something, honey," because it's like it's literally showing up on the TV with nothing. I don't know. Those old video games were something else, but
yeah,
I don't think I ever actually played Double Dragon. I love how they committed to the blue and the red. They are in blue and red the entire movie. It made it feel very Power Rangers to me.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Where they're always color-coded.
I think that's their color scheme throughout all the games, though. That's how you tell them apart.
Yeah.
Well, that's not actually how you tell them apart. They look very different, but...
Well, I guess Scott Wolf would not dye his hair blonde. So I guess Scott Wolf's character's blonde in the game. Yeah. But he refused.
So what did they compromise and say, okay, you're not going to go blonde, so let's bleach Robert Patrick's head?
I guess. They were like, everyone else
like
is
blonde. Like 3/4 of it.
You don't go blonde, everyone else is. And he was like, I'm okay with that. So Alyssa Milano had to go blonde, and the other guy had to go blonde.
So everybody goes blonde.
Yeah.
Christina, you're fine. You're already blonde.
The shadow side, the shadow special effects were not bad, given that it's 30 years old. Like, every time he has to become a shadow, and he does the, like, shadow across the floor, we get a couple of computer shadow scenes.
Yeah.
And they're not bad.
I'm kind of disappointed that the shadow killed Michael Berryman. He was the maniac leader nearing the end of the movie when he was trying to get all the gangs together.
Oh, yeah.
Berryman? Maybe I missed
That's the guy who goes, you little snarf. Yeah. You little snarf.
I think the real hero of the movie was Obobo.
Yeah, we talked about that. So he has the most, like, actual growth in the
you
movie.
both agree?
Yes. Legitimate character growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, of all the characters in this movie, that's not the one you would have picked for character growth.
No.
Not at all.
No. He kind of had the farthest to go.
Yeah.
So, without being, like, actually despicable.
It's so
he was just
weird.
a bully.
Like, why include him? What the
That was so weird.
I mean, he was essentially this movie's version of a troll. It's like, you may not pass till you give me the proper fee to pass.
Yeah.
You know, that's all he was.
Yeah.
He's shaking you down for lunch money.
Or they had that special effects guy. And he was like, I'm walking if I don't get to do a giant bodysuit on somebody.
They were like,
figure it out, write it in.
Here we go.
Yeah, that bodysuit looked like it was this close to, like I was telling her, just being popped. Just one pin.
Yes.
One pin, and that just gone.
Yeah, but probably the most emotional moment in the movie is when he's in the cell and he picks up the postcard and it's got like a woman in a bikini and he's like, oh yeah, and then he looks in the mirror and he's like, no, and then it shows a tear roll down
one tear
his face.
Yes.
And then he's like, no, and he breaks out and that's when he saves everybody.
That's when he realizes
that's his sloth move. That's his sloth moment where he breaks free from his binds and saves the day.
Yeah, by telling Alyssa Milano to turn on the lights. He's like, the lights, and she's like, the lights. She runs up to go turn on the lights.
Because Bobo knows the Shadow's weakness.
Yeah, because he's not only the most he's not only has the most character growth, he's the most intelligent character in the movie.
That's saying something.
Was he in the room when they turned on the lights? When she turned the lights on, and he just kind of lurched back? He's like, you know, you're not supposed to do that. Was a Bobo in the room at the time?
I don't think so, because he's not with them. He gets stuck in the movie theater when they burn it down, and then the Power Core saves him, and then the Power Core is torturing him with spinach until the very end of the movie.
So somehow this was just a really good guess on his part?
Yeah. He was like, the guy's a shadow.
Well, he might have been in the room, like, after he tried to mug them, and then he was reporting to the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty right after that, he takes him down to the lab.
But then they turned the light on, and he was like, no, gotta give me warning.
Maybe? All those, I
think it was his punishment for not, getting the medallion while he had it in his hand.
I don't know.
Was, okay, now we're going to give you submolecular steroids.
All the nefarious office scenes all blend together after a while. Except when the one lady randomly pulls out a whip, and she's like, guess what, y'all? I'm Catwoman. And she just starts whipping everybody.
I was thinking more like a female evil Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, she did the spelunking in the beginning of the movie for the original.
That's true.
For that half.
Yeah, and she had the whole like, am I a ninja garb on with the like plates. And Matt was like, why does that person have blue eyes? And I'm like, shh, it's fine. It's the 90s. She can still be Asian. It's okay.
Oh. the green. Oh yeah. No. I was thinking green-eyed Asian woman from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Where somehow they mistook her and Kim Cattrall's character for that green-eyed. I guess what was it? That was the whole thing. It was a green-eyed woman that he needed to be able to complete his powers at the beginning, at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I just went off on some mental tangent that I can't complete right now.
It's been a long time since I've watched that movie, or I would weigh in. But it's sort of like The Shadow, where it's like The Shadow, where Alec Baldwin's character is an opium lord in China.
Okay.
And he gets chosen by this Buddhist monk because he has the potential to be like an enlightened one.
Because, yes, Alec Baldwin was the perfect choice for that particular role.
Yeah, you're like, oh, because Alec Baldwin, obviously, opium lord. That's what I think of when I think of Chinese opium lord, is Alec Baldwin. I feel like that was just the 90s. They were like, it's cool, guys. It doesn't matter.
And then they started doing the reverse of everything. It's like, everything's been whitewashed for too long. What if we took things that were predominantly whitewashed roles and then made them diverse as hell?
Yeah, which I'm better with the second one.
Right.
Like, better than, but yeah. I mean, but it's the 90s, like we always say on Forever Night, our podcast, like, you have to put on your context lenses. You just have to realize, like, it wasn't something that people thought of as problematic at the time, so you can't apply the same...
There wasn't any social pressure to
you can't
do better.
Look at it and think, like, they knew better, they didn't know better. So, it's fine. But they're not supposed to be real brothers. I know one of them, Satori, is their guardian, but why is the other one there?
No, I think in the movie they're brothers.
In the movie, they're supposed to be brothers. I'm not sure. I feel like adoptive brothers, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. I could totally understand, like, oh, yes, we call this man father because he rescued us from the wreckage of something and raised us, and he's our father. And we are brothers.
Okay.
Or possibly, the even worse scenario of one dad, two different moms.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
I mean, this is your brother, this is your step.
And so they could have been born on the same day.
I don't. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I loved the ending. It's like we got to like 10 minutes from the end, and I was like, they have not figured out how to use this amulet yet. We are 10 minutes from the end, and they both get him, and they're like, ha! And they just like put them together, and then they get the whole outfit transformation, and they're like, yes!
Perfect.
And then they just beat the other guy up.
I'm not sure how I felt about the outfits themselves, though. They were a little...
I mean, is it the worst thing in this movie? No.
It was overuse of a bedazzler. Definitely.
Yeah, the metallic thread was... Yeah. Well, what I don't get is the medallion that the bad guy has is just like mind control. And it emphasizes what's inside you. So he's like a shadow who controls people's minds. And then he takes over the one brother and sends him after the other brother. I'm sorry, their names are too close. I can't remember the different names. And they fight. And then he ends up throwing him through a concrete wall and like knocking the concrete chunks off with his hands. But he only has the mind one. He doesn't have the body one.
Okay.
So why is he able to punch chunks off of concrete?
So are you implying that this guy can break concrete with his bare hands and he's not even augmented in any way?
That's how badass they are.
Okay.
That's a pretty strong shadow.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
Concentrated shadow. This is concentrated shadow. And just for a little...
Yeah.
Just so you're able to tell the difference, I believe Mark Dacasocos, he played Ugly, and then there's Homely.
Oh, Homely. Yeah.
Or Jimmy and Billy, yeah.
No. Scott Wolf is ugly and the other guy's homely. He goes, you got it wrong. You're ugly and I'm just homely.
I don't like their names. Their names do not roll off the tongue. Jimmy Lee, Billy Lee.
Yeah.
It's like adding an extra LY at the end of each name. Billy Lee.
And when you see them at the beginning, when they do their names, like the car belongs to these two guys. One of them is William Burroughs and the other one is like One's a famous writer, and one's another guy who's famous. And I can't remember what the other one is, but it's like the weirdest little thing to slip in there. They're like, one is named after William Burroughs. Billy.
Okay. So they're trying... Okay. This is...
You look at me like you don't know. Look it up.
Right. I don't have the ability to roll back the film to find that particular scene.
It's fine. Matt's like looking at me like, what? William Burroughs is an author.
I don't know who William
Burroughs.
William S. Burroughs?
Yeah.
He's looking up the author. Okay.
He is. They were just trying to elevate the overall theme of the movie. Like, oh yes, we are classy. You can tell because we're named after a famous writer.
Oh, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are named after.
Yeah, good point. This whole movie felt like they were trying to...
I was thinking of Edgar Burroughs.
This whole movie felt like they were trying to skate as close as they could to these other like monolith properties without actually being able to be sued for copyright infringement.
Maybe that's why they got along with Battletoads.
Because it's like Mortal Kombat had a baby with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it just feels like, and with the quippy one, like, and all of them wanted to be Jim Carrey from The Mask all at the same time. They were like, let's take all of these elements from these other successful 90s movies and put them together in a formula that doesn't work.
I was thinking
it's
about
like a Mad Lib movie script.
Yeah, like a Mad Lib movie script.
I was thinking of a different beat 'em up game altogether. I was thinking Bad Dudes, except for with geese with a hell of a lot of flair. Bad Dudes looking more like two Brooklyn guys, like in just white T-shirts and jeans, just walking around beating people up. But this is, wow, my brain again. I apologize. I'm going to apologize because, and mind you, I can cut out all this silence too, but I am on a lot of cold medication right now. So if you remember in other podcasts we did where I just...
It's okay.
I don't have that backup in Sarah or Piper at this point to pull me out of the mental depths that I go into when I'm overly medicated.
Yeah.
So...
It's fine. Or it's good.
I've been talking fine. William S. Burroughs, responsible for basically the writing that got to one of my favorite movies, Naked Lunch. Have you seen Naked Lunch?
That sounds connected.
Naked Lunch, starring Peter Weller. If you haven't seen it, I won't give anything away right now. It's a very good movie. Go watch.
Okay. Well, we'll have to go watch it.
If you like something that's that's overly strange and trippy.
Okay. Well, we like those. Have you watched Mandy yet?
I have not gotten to watch Mandy yet because I have a young man in the other room, my son, who wants to watch that along with Color Out of Space, I believe.
Okay, not child friendly.
No, well,
Mandy?
He's 19. He's 19 years old. This is not.
Oh, okay. All right, it's fine.
Not Munchkin. He's fine for watching pretty much anything.
No, Mandy's good. Just if you think to yourself, knife dick, and then think, can my child watch knife dick? And then the answer is yes. Then you're good to go.
Well, he watched 7, so there was knife dick in that, unfortunately.
It's more graphic.
Yeah.
So literal sword fighting.
Graphic.
Oh, he doesn't fight with it, but he does get stuck to the floor.
Yeah, it's like a 3-foot long.
It's not that long. No, the knife dick's
not that long.
No,
but it's like a strap-on
knife dick. Yeah.
Wow, that paints an image I am not sure. Okay, maybe I don't want to watch this with my son sitting directly next to me. Possibly not.
It's a short scene.
Yeah, it's pretty short. It's in the "You Ripped My Shirt" scene, which is one of my favorite, of Nick Cage's movies ever. That's probably my favorite because he doesn't have any lines for the second, probably 2/3 of the movie. The 2/3 of the remaining of the movie.
The last hour of the movie,
he doesn't really talk.
Lines.
He has 3 lines, and all of them are in this weird distorted voice, except when this guy rips his favorite shirt and he goes, "You ripped my shirt," and he does this and he repeats it 3 times, and then he kills this guy with his own knife dick. But it's him going, "You ripped my shirt." It's
all I know is that I've been told that I cannot put any more movies on with my family in the room that will make it so uncomfortable that they don't want to be in the same room with me anymore.
Okay, then don't have Mandy.
One movie under my belt that did that, and I had a friend over, and my daughter was walking through the room at the same time that this movie was going on. Romeo and Juliet. We talk about this movie frequently in the first 3 years of the podcast. Almost every episode it came up because they were so pissed off at me that I made them watch that movie. I'm like, First of all, it was James Gunn, before James Gunn was the guy. Wow. So this is when he was working for a very low-budget film company that was known for pushing the envelope of good taste. Romeo and Juliet is obviously William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, except the twist being, the entire movie, the audience knows that Romeo and Juliet are brother and sister, but they don't know.
No.
And there is some stuff that happens in the movie with the audience knowing that they are brother and sister that you're just going, oh no. So my friend, who was sitting not more than 2 feet away from me while we were watching this film, slowly the chair distance began to grow. Because he's slowly inching away from me. It's like, this movie was so uncomfortable. Why did you make me watch this with you? I could have watched this at home and still yelled at you about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's no worse than Blue Lagoon. They're first cousins in Blue Lagoon.
But it is worse. It's directly brother and sister.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Maybe
first cousins just naked 15-year-olds.
That traumatized you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to bring it back to Double Dragon.
No naked 15 years old.
Another comparison that you made, Rachel, was that this seemed like a mashup of Ace Ventura and Split Second.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Split Second starring
Rutger Hauer
and the Rat Monster?
And Kim
Oh,
Cattrall,
wow. That's been so long. I've seen it. It's been a while, though. It's been VHS while. That's how long it's been.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he only eats chocolate and drinks coffee.
But it's very, cyberpunky.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk vibes.
Yeah, cyberpunk Rutger Hauer and Kim Cattrall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a...
Very gory.
So my son did watch this movie with me, and I had to explain to him at this point, during this movie, Scott Wolf and Alyssa Milano got together, so the 2 big scenes where they are egregiously ogling her butt, it's like, it might not have been as bad considering it's technically her boyfriend doing that. Mark Dacasocos, not so much. She could have kicked him. I have no idea what happened on behind the scenes, but I'm guessing they had to pay her a little bit more. It's like, we're going to do something. Here's what we need you to do. You 2 stare. You go over there and pick that up. And
yeah. They probably just held up the Daisy Duke shorts and garters or whatever she was wearing, and she was like, no. And they were like, $100,000 more, and she was like, all right.
I fully blame her for all those jeans that you see around now that are basically just ripped out the front.
Yeah. That's what I thought she had at first, but no, it's like a 3 separate combo thing. It's like the garters and the short jean shorts, and then there's tie-dye galoshes at the bottom.
It all seems to be connected.
Her jacket and her gloves.
It's a very 90s vibe.
I don't even think the 90s had that vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. There's that scene where they're in the air duct.
Without the garters, it would have looked a little more.
And the stupid jersey gloves that match everything else that are way too big for her and she wears the whole time.
They were trying hard to go for a fashion statement here that I don't think caught on at all.
No, it was very Final Fantasy, where it's like, if we just put more layers, it's going to look futuristic. Yes. It's fine. Have we tried putting another belt on there? I think we should she's got a belt with it's like a pin through the belt, because when they do the air duct scene, they take her pin and they're trying to use her pin to get the necklace. Yes. No one's going to see this rope coming down with a pin on it.
With a shiny metal thing on it.
It's trying to catch the necklace.
Yeah, it's a fishing expedition gone severely wrong.
Yeah.
And our favorite kind of ninja is the one that catches that.
Yeah, the lady with the spear thing.
Exactly.
Which the ceiling's really high, and yet she's able to take this spear and spear through the ceiling? It's spear through the air duct?
She's good at her job.
Okay, it's fine.
I have no idea. I'm actually seeing this playing in the background as you're talking about it. So they're currently fishing on my TV over here.
I feel like a bunch of different people made this movie, because the opening feels so much different than later. Because when we open with that weird TV sequence where we have the commercial where they're like, if you don't know Jack, or was it if you don't use Jack, you don't know Jack, or whatever? It's the one about the Jack company.
Oh yeah, because
the Mario Brothers ripoff.
Structural supports.
Yeah.
Because everything's falling down from the earthquakes.
That felt referential. That felt what year does Mario Brothers come out? Is that 93?
I think Mario Brothers already came. I think before they became Super Mario Brothers, they had a cabinet game, which was just them going through the pipes.
Yeah, Mario Bros. But isn't 93, isn't that Super Mario Brothers the movie?
With
I
John
believe so.
Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mario Brothers movie. Nope, this is the wrong Mario Brothers movie. I'm looking at the wrong one.
1993.
93. So this came out a
That's the
year
year
before
before
this. So I that really could have been. And they already had the cartoon going. So they had the one that had Lou Albano as Mario.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins or Lou Albano? Who played it better?
Bob.
Bob?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't hate the Mario. You know what? I didn't hate the Mario Brothers movie the first time I watched it, and then we tried to watch it again, and I kept falling asleep. And that was really the only, bad thing, because I just could not stay awake. But that could be self-referenced. I feel like this style of movie is always so referential of pop culture at the time, and you just miss it after a while, because you get out of it. You're not in that moment in the 90s when this was filmed and released.
It's just sort of nostalgia at that point. You're just sort of reflecting on things. If you're not in the moment,
Yeah, it's not as funny.
I've watched this 3 times in the past week. It's not quite as funny the third time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah. There's that scene in the boathouse when they run to the they get that moment where they walk into the yard and there's all those gang guys in front of them, and they could just turn and run the other direction, but they run through the gang guys. And it's normally they only come out at night, so they go, "Don't you have a watch?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, I've got a watch." And he holds his arm up and he has 6 watches, and they're like, "It's time to skin you guys alive." And they're like, "Ugh," and they all run after him. And they end up in the boathouse, and that's when he has that the motorcycle that they're like, "Oh yeah, the motorcycle."
Yeah, that seems like a reference to
That
something.
just because it doesn't ever go anywhere. It falls apart and it has some kind of alarm, but it doesn't call the police. I don't know. So then they drive off in the boat, and the whole boat scene was so, I don't know. They go into that tour guide, and that feels like it's something. There's probably a joke there that we're not getting. And then I guess that whole river sequence took place in Ohio, on the Cuyahoga River in Ohio.
Okay.
And they just made it look like New Angeles. And so, that river is so polluted it's caught on fire in real life before. And then they, I guess, dumped 600 gallons of gasoline into this river to light it on fire.
Wow.
And you said they had been warning the locals.
They warned the locals about
weeks.
it, and then they did the whole explosion, and then everybody around called the police. Oh no, the river just exploded. It just feels like...
It feels very Ohio.
It feels like the opening of Robin Hood Men in Tights, when they're every time they make a Robin Hood movie, they burn our village down.
Yes.
Leave us alone, Mel Brooks. That. That's what it felt like.
Ohio's probably one of the few places that they could have burnt a river and
dump hundreds of gallons of gasoline.
Nobody thought about it. It's here's this pond or the river over here. We're going to just pour hundreds of gallons of gasoline in here. How much do you want us to pay you?
We're going to burn it all
It's
off.
fine.
It's not
fine.
going to stay.
Oh, yeah, because nothing
That's probably
stays.
their argument.
Nothing stays.
fine.
Yeah.
It's that in
It's
the
going to go into the air. And
Yeah.
once it's in the atmosphere, it goes away.
Yes, dilution is the solution to pollution. It feels like we talked about last time, I think, the Nosferatu movie where they released 10,000 rats into that town.
Yes.
I don't know. What did we sacrifice in the 90s for these movies? That's what I want to know.
The ability to breathe in Ohio, and possibly quite a few fish. Quite a few fish.
I don't know. So this movie was okay. It was fine. I think I'd sit and watch it with my kids.
It was entertaining.
I don't think I'd sit and watch it ooh, I want to go watch the Double Dragon movie. It just felt of it. It just, it felt of its time. It felt very 90s.
I think I realized why the final, the ghost lady at the end felt so, impactful. I don't know.
Okay.
It feels like at the end of a video game when you win and you get the person pops up. Congratulations, heroes, you won. So that's what it feels like, her ghost coming back to say, you did it, guys. Protect the amulets, the medallions.
Until the next time. I mean, this was supposed to be a setup, I'm thinking, maybe for a franchise. I think that's what they were kind of going for with a lot of these movies, and they never took off.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like it should have been a TV pilot.
Yeah.
Like a Hercules-style TV pilot.
Yeah, this could have been a good, 2-part pilot for a series.
Yeah.
2-part pilot for a series that only had 2 parts and got canceled shortly thereafter.
It feels like, remember Xena came out, and Xena was big, and Hercules was big, and that like campy kind of Ozploitation style television show was big for a while, and then they tried to bring it back. I don't know if you remember that, but they were like, y'all remember those? They were great. Let's bring those back. So then they made, it's analogous to Eye of the World, or Wheel of Time, like the big Wheel of Time Amazon franchise, but it was called the Sword of Truth series. And I think Sam Raimi directed it, and he tried to bring it back in the style of like Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah, it did.
But in like the early 2000s. So everyone was like, y'all, that had its moment. Like, it did not take off. But I feel like this would have fit really nicely in that moment of like Power Rangers, Hercules, that like Kung Fu fight, Monster of the Week, 90s television show.
I guess
but
one of those Saturday morning 30-minute shows that they had all over the place.
Yeah, they always solve the problem with the same special move, but they never do the special move until the very end when they've exhausted all other possibilities. Like one of those. That would have been fine.
Or didn't even realize that the special move exists in this case until they just stumbled on it.
Right.
So we have no idea how to make this work in the last 2 minutes of the show. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we figured it out.
Yeah. I love how they explained that not at all. He's trying to get it to work the whole movie, and then he's like, fuck you, and he throws it away, and it's like, oh, that's all you had to do was say fuck you, and then it comes back, and he's like, oh,
that's the activation word.
That's the activation word all along. Who knew?
Okay, so maybe it's an HBO kids show.
Oh, yeah.
You can't drop F-bombs on public television in the 90s.
Oh, right. Yeah. Not usually, no.
No, there's some shows that they're a little lax now. There's a lot of cursing on TV now.
Yeah.
A lot, which is fine.
We watched that was... Oh, there is a really shitty vampire movie, which is kind of my specialty. That
so you've told
Adrian
me.
Paul, the main actor in Highlander, is in, called The Breed. And it was supposed to be a TV pilot, and so I was watching it, and I watched it previously, and I had it on DVD a long time ago, but there's a lot of nudity in that for something that was supposed to be on TV. And I was like, what were you on?
Supposed to be a TV pilot.
Yeah.
Ended up a movie. They were like, oh, this is not really working out. I don't think we're going to make an entire show out of this. So let's pull out some of the stops.
I don't know what anybody was smoking that they thought that was going to be a TV show, because they're like, let's not only make it weird, let's dial the weirdness up to 12. Let's make it some kind of weird post-apocalyptic but also communist society that's maybe the 1950s but also maybe futuristic.
Fallout with
but
vampires.
Also gritty. Yeah, well, but there's also vampires. And then let's make Adrian Paul Jewish. That's fine. I don't know. It was just...
Of all those things, I think the last one's the least believable.
Yeah. Well, he's Polish, he says. He's Polish.
Okay.
I don't know.
The Polish Jewish community.
Shitty vampire movies.
There's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of really, really bad vampire flicks out there.
There's a guy who does shark movies, and that's it. It's called Bucket of Chum, and he only does shark movies. He does podcasts only about shark movies, and he started it, and he's like a Canadian comedian, and he's super funny. And I was like, well, this is really great, but like, how much mileage is he going to get out of shark movies? Turns out fucking infinite.
People are constantly making shark movies. I mean, Sci-Fi Channel alone probably provides him with a good portion of his,
Yeah?
Oof. I tried watching a few of the shark movies, just that one, and I can't remember which one it was, honestly, because they all bleed together, but I tried to watch that one that had Debbie Gibson and Tiffany on the same movie. Because apparently Sci-Fi Channel gave these two late 80s pop stars. I don't think they got into the 90s. Debbie maybe, not Tiffany. But they got a second life in shark movies for the Sci-Fi Channel.
They pay like everything else does.
Or I think one was like the anaconda thing and the other one was a shark. And I think the anaconda and the shark both fought at the same time or something of that nature. All I know is that they kept I noticed that there was like one particular scene, like it was like either a battleship or something, that they used the same scene constantly in these movies.
Yeah. I mean, they paid a lot for that. They can't.
That one thing, yeah. We paid a lot for that one scene. We're going to use it in every damn movie that we put out.
Yeah.
Like in Solaris, where they they spent a huge amount of money and bureaucratic tape cutting to get a filmed scene in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And it's like 15 minutes long.
It's so long. And it's so pointless.
And it doesn't really add anything to the movie, but it was like probably the highest production cost per minute of film. Like, we have to put it in.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. We saw something labeled like Waterworld 2 the other day, a clip. A clip showed up that was like a shark movie called Waterworld 2, and I was like, I don't want to know. And I just I didn't.
You didn't follow that up?
I didn't follow it up. I didn't look it up. I was like, I need to go on not knowing that exists. And then I just moved on with my life.
Now that you've even mentioned it to me, now I have Waterworld over here in this massive array of DVDs that I've just been buying all this boutique Blu-ray crapola.
Yeah.
And after watching like all the special features, first of all, what they did with Waterworld was not supposed to be what it was.
Right.
So a lot of the creatures throughout Waterworld were supposed to have sort of, I want to say, hybrid features between the water and the humans. The only thing that ended up being hybrid was his gills.
Yeah.
If they had done it that way, it could have justified the cost of the original Waterworld movie. The way they did it, on the other hand, it's just one of those... Kevin Costner loves strapping himself to 3-hour-plus movies that are just absolute trash.
Yeah. I mean, I love I got the novelization of Waterworld. We were at a used bookstore, and it popped, and I was like, Waterworld? And I pulled it off the shelf, and I was like, holy
shit. The movie novelization?
This is the movie novelization of Waterworld? Like, I couldn't pass that up. And it was the only 75-cent, or is it 50 cent? It's the 50. only 50-cent book I found all day. Everything else was like $2.25, $3. This one was like, please just take this.
Take it.
Somebody turned it in. I was like, I volunteer as tribute, and I took it home.
Have you read it?
I haven't yet. I just got it yesterday.
Okay, so you're going to have to tell me if it's better than the movie. I imagine it is.
I love the movie. I can't. But I love a lot of bad movies, but I love the movie. So, I don't know.
I'm going to say something horrible. I love that movie, with the exception of it being probably one of the worst performances for Dennis Hopper. I did not like him in that movie at all.
Have you seen the Ulysses cut?
Yeah. I picked up, like I said, I picked up the Blu-ray box set. I don't know if it's Arrow Entertainment or Vinegar Syndrome. One of them put out a box set that gives you all of the cuts of the movie. Like there's a UK cut to the movie, the Ulysses cut. There's a lot to it, yeah.
Yeah. I like the Ulysses cut. I think I like it as much because it was a fan who found all the different versions and cut it out and made one huge version and released it. And then the people who had all the rights were like, oh, that's actually
really good.
You did a great job. And then they made it the official version and made it the Ulysses cut, and I think that's really cool because it was one fan who was like, cool. I think I can make this better.
I actively seek out Blu-rays that do things like that. Like there's one for Raising Cain. Like I guess the way that Raising Cain, the old John Lithgow film, was made, the cut that they put out in the theaters was not how it was originally intended to look. And so it was all disjointed. People really didn't get a feel for the way that their director originally wanted it. And then when they put out the Blu-ray, they allowed the director to cut it back together the way that he wanted it to be cut. So you got the theatrical version and the director's cut version, which put things in a more sequential setup. And it was a much better movie.
Surprise!
Another one that does that, I don't know, you probably know what I'm talking about, is Nightbreed. Have you ever watched
Nightbreed? Oh my god, that is a great movie.
And that Nightbreed has 4 cuts. If you go deep, there's a lot of different cuts of Nightbreed. And I think I may have seen the director's cut, and I think that's one of my favorites. But it's just the impressive number of oh no, this is a cut that was only shown at this specific fan festival at this time, and it's never been seen again. And oh no, but this cut was shown here. And it's just one of those legendary, there's so much different footage to put together.
Highlander was notorious for that.
Good. Yeah.
They had several cuts of Highlander 2 and 3.
Yeah. I know I've seen the director's cut of Highlander. It's good. It's fine. There's more nudity. I'm looking forward to the Henry Cavill one. I don't care. They could just give this man a sword and a kilt and have him run around in Scotland for an hour and a half and I will watch it. I don't even care. I have no standards. None. It's bottom of the barrel.
Once
he just
we
needs
heard
to be
Michael
in it.
Fassbender will be starring in it with him.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender's going to be the Kurgan style character.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean,
It sounds good.
Clancy Brown isn't too old to play that, is he?
I
Old
mean,
Kurgan?
He can have a cameo. It's fine. Hi, I'm Candy. Of course you are.
I would love it. I would love it if Michael Fassbender gets to cut off Clancy's head.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's like a just flash montage scene, like all the people that he's killed.
I don't care.
I would love to have cameos from Christopher Lambert.
I don't know. If
Clancy.
there's fan service, I'll die. If there's not fan service, I'll die. I don't care. I'm like a huge Highlander fan, so like I'm just
more Highlander.
I'm just happy they're making another movie. So I mean, I have a Highlander tattoo. That's what this one is.
I can't quite see it in the glare.
It's the Watcher. Remember, I don't know if you watched the TV show, but
yeah,
the Watchers. I have a Watcher tattoo. So
I watched
You're
everything except was it Raven? I didn't watch.
Oh yeah, Raven. There's actually there's a television. There's an episode with Adrian Paul's not even in it, and it has this lady. Her name is Claudia. I can't remember. She's a character on Babylon 5. She's Lieutenant Commander Ivanova on Babylon 5, and she's in it, and she's the main character for the whole episode, and it was supposed to be the spin-off for Raven. And then the lady who ended up being Raven, took it from her and became the Raven instead, and it's just terrible. I think Claudia, your name might be Claudia Christian.
Yeah, that's
she would have knocked it out of the park, but that lady is just... she's got the same haircut as Alyssa Milano in Double Dragon, actually.
Oh, okay.
Which is why, my brain connected that. It was just...
Yeah, not to bring it back to the movie we started on or anything.
Gee, yeah. I mean, Double Dragon, Raven, that's what we did. That was the segue, getting back to Double Dragon.
Yeah,
the haircut.
This is Anarchy. It's cinematic anarchy. That's the point, honey.
Right. We don't need to stay on track. It's not necessary. We've actually talked about this more than the original time that I tried to do this.
Well, good. Have you seen Dune 2 yet?
I have not.
Oh, okay. That's fine. We have a podcast about it. It's the same thing.
Have you already done an episode?
Or whatever.
Yeah, we did an out of the theater reaction. We just
That's
came home
right.
and I was like, we're going to talk about this for 2 hours already anyway. Let's just sit down and talk about it on a mic.
That's right. It is literally sitting in queue until after I've watched the movie.
Yeah, that's fair. So I won't spoil anything for you, but if you want to talk about it, we're here.
Honestly, that's another thing about the podcast is we're all about unapologetic spoilers. We give a spoiler warning at the beginning of the podcast. That's it. If you skip over it, where the beginning, where there's occasionally ads and there's the music and everything, and you skip over the warning, sorry, I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, you can't spoil Dune. Everybody knows where it's going. If you've seen any Dune adaptation, it's about the same. So it's just, he made some, I don't know. It's fine. That's a whole, I can't. I'll take up the whole rest of this podcast talking about it.
You can spoil it for kids about my son's age who either refuse to read or get all of their pop culture knowledge from current movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you watch the 2000 Dune miniseries produced by Sci-Fi, starring Alec Newman, that's basically the book. That's, to me, the best adaptation. It's what do they call it? It's the illusion of fidelity. It feels like the same spirit as the book. It feels like the book, but it's all the changes you needed to make the book work visually, they make in that miniseries.
Yes. Yep. Big fans.
Plus, the guy they got to film it is a music, the only thing he'd ever filmed before that was music videos, so the whole thing looks like this super stylish music video.
The use of lighting is really, really good.
Yeah.
So, watch Dune 2, listen to Reaction, go and watch the 2000s miniseries, and then load up my Audible player to listen to audiobooks for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, if you want to read the first 3 books, but you don't want to read the first 3 books, Dune or Sci-Fi went ahead and did all 3 books. So you can watch the 2003 miniseries starring Alec McAvoy and
James McAvoy.
And
Alec Newman.
And Alec Newman. And they did the Dune Messiah and Children of Dune.
Okay.
Which are the next 2?
No, I'll probably
those
listen to the books before I watch the series, honestly. I remember reading the first book way back when, and then I think I was more of a Stephen King guy.
Yeah.
Back when I was avidly reading, and now I'm spoiled by Audible a little bit. And this is not a sponsor. I just listen to it a lot. I spent way too much money.
Yes, listening to books is still reading.
I kind of feel like Dune is one of those properties where you can even benefit from having watched the movie first.
Yeah, we talked about it where reading the book was more enjoyable when you had a gist of the plot
And
from
where you were
having
going.
recently watched either the movie or the miniseries.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but it's personal preference.
I think my regular 9 to 5 job has become more than just 9 to 5, and so I have a lot of time while I'm doing that work to sit and listen to audio recordings of books. I
Read
do
with
not
your
have
ears.
I do not have a lot of time and/or energy to read after I get out. So I have
Yeah.
books on my shelf over here, and I have tried several times, but it's usually the death knell of my awakenness. Just out. Done. It's like, how far did you
Better
get into
than
that book?
melatonin.
5 pages, and I'm out. Best sleep
We've read a
medication
couple
ever.
recently. I think we read one called Star Maker, and it's very old sci-fi, and I would get like 4
Yeah,
or
it's
5
like
pages, and it's the
1930s
only time I've ever had
sci-fi.
like the cartoon where the book falls out of your hands while you fall asleep. Like, it just fell forward, and I fell backwards and passed right out.
I don't do a lot of that dreaded thing with my phone, but I have dropped a book on my face on occasion, just laying back reading, just suddenly smothered by book. Okay, so getting back to Double Dragon, of all of the acting performances in this movie, who would you say did the best, did the worst?
A Bobo.
A Bobo?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to go with a Bobo. He's my
Of
favorite.
the action sequences or acting?
Acting.
Oh.
Satori was terrible. I never believed for a minute.
Well,
Hey,
there's a reason she was off. during
I'd
the
say
movie.
a Bobo and his like second in command.
yeah,
I think we're probably
Mohawk guy.
Yeah, Mohawk guy.
Mm.
Do you know where else he is pretty well known from? Mohawk guy?
He looks very familiar.
Mohawk
Yeah.
guy. Actually,
Yeah.
he played in the television adaptation of Weird Science.
Oh, I think I watched that. The TV show. I've
Right.
seen the movie, but I think I watched the TV show first.
That's John Asher, smartass Mohawk guy. So he's the
that is-
one that
Is that
plays
his character
Gary.
in the movie?
He plays Gary, I want to say the Anthony Michael Hall character. Yeah, that TV series was actually pretty funny.
It was
not-
good.
it was
I
not
always
too
like
bad.
Anthony Michael Hall. Anything he's in.
That's the thing, is a lot of the 80s and 90s comedies, they don't feel as dated as action. Like the action films, sci-fi
Yeah.
films, a lot of them feel a lot more dated. Basically, because you're more focused on the special effects that were available within those.
Right.
They had to rely on practical
Yeah.
over special. So I don't know. Okay, and you both agree on the worst being Satori, basically.
You think Satori's the worst? When she shows up in the like sparkly head floating apparition at the end, and she's
Absolutely, it broke me out.
like, I've
Yeah.
always believed in you. You are the best. She like disappears.
No, you are the worst. Oh. No, I mean, I agree that I did not like Satori in this at all, and I'm not saying I'm glad she died, but I don't blame them for killing her off early. It's like they were like, we don't have time to find a new actress. Can we just end this here? I know she was supposed to follow them throughout the rest of the film here, but can we just? At first, I thought this was going to be Mark Dacasocos' love interest in the film.
Oh no.
Because, and then I realized like she was their guardian, and I'm like, oh, maybe not. Okay.
Hopefully
Yeah,
not.
she's talking about like, oh yeah, I was there when like your dad died, and I became your guardian. It's like you're the same age. Maybe she's a couple years older than
That's
them.
fine. No, she has a blonde. She has a gray
But she has a
hair
white streak in her
Yeah,
hair,
she's
right?
Unbeknownst to
pretty
you,
older.
I'm your mom.
Yeah,
I've just had some work.
like
Just a little bit.
like a lot. I love how she gets like beat up. Like she has a whole kung fu battle, and then she dies from being backhanded.
Yeah.
He's like whoop woof, and then she just sits there like, I have died. I have no more will to live. I shall sit here while I burn to death.
Do you think maybe it was just sort of that he accidentally backhanded her in the middle of this whole thing? He's like, can I just die here? Can we? The
Yeah.
battle's over, right? Can we just?
That's literally her just recovering from the accidental like
Yeah.
too strong hit, and they're like, nah, I think that's great. We can cut her
Yeah,
right there.
Right
even
here.
when like 5 fucking minutes earlier she's in that cage and she's like, leave me to die, you need to go save the amulet, and they're like, we can't. She's like, fine, and she kicks open the
There's
door.
no like ceiling on the cage, so she could have just climbed up and over. And they spent like 5 minutes shaking the door.
But also she just she's like, fucking fine, you won't leave me, and she just kicks the door open and she's like, then we'll go together.
I was gonna escape after you left and distract them.
Couldn't you have done that like 5 minutes ago? Like, we're distracting him. Just kick the door open. Why did you
I'm
wait?
trying to nobly die. Let me nobly die. And they're like, no. And she's like, fine. And then later they leave and she shuts the door, which delays the guy all of like 2 minutes, maybe.
Because you're pretty far in 2 minutes.
Slips under the door as a shadow.
Yeah, that shadow is pretty quick.
The Double Dragon arcade console that they bust up. Do you think that's a fully functional system, or do you think it's gutted and it's just the box?
Oh, the game was playing on it when they kicked it.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was functional when they kicked it.
That's a disgrace.
Mind you, I mean, now it's a disgrace. Back then, the consoles were...
Yeah, I guess they were all over the reason it was popular enough to make a movie is those consoles were literally everywhere.
Right, I mean, and they had, 3, 4 games by that point? If I'm not mistaken.
I gather they were going to make a game out of this movie where they did like a Mortal Kombat style real life image capture.
Oh.
And use the actors to make the characters for the game.
That would have been interesting.
And then they were like, we can't do that in time, so never mind. And then it bombed and they were like, dodged a bullet.
We avoided more costs.
I want to say that actually might be true, that they did try to make, I think the Neo Geo version of Double Dragon in 1985 was supposed to be a movie based off, or a game based off the movie that was based off the game.
Yeah.
But then they got partway through development of it and then scrapped it.
Yeah.
Neo Geo still got their game, but...
There's actually a Japanese tie-in, so maybe your collection of Japanese games has the Japanese tie-in, Double Dragon.
Let's see, Rise of the Dragon, Revenge. I'm just sitting here Googling myself here, so I'm just... I do not see it. Let's see, Rise of the Dragon. I think that might be... The 1995 one might be the Japanese one, published by Technos Japan. So the Neo Geo version, I believe, was the Japanese one.
Yeah, it could be, because the Japanese did do a movie tie-in one, but America never did. A lot of these movies do better in other markets than they do here.
You know what, I just realized as I'm sitting here scrolling for the Neo Geo game, it says that Double Dragon is a 1994 American martial arts film based on the video game series of the same name. The film was directed by James Yukich, whose previous credits included the music videos for Genesis, Invisible Touch, and That's All. So prior to getting this franchise, or what could have been a franchise, he had basically made music videos for Genesis.
Everybody needs a first movie. Why not Double Dragon, I guess?
I mean, I don't think I could look at Invisible Touch and think, that guy, I think he could do some justice to Double Dragon.
He's got something. There's something here.
He did fantastic things for the lighting on Phil Collins.
Yeah, all 3 minutes of it.
There's an extended cut of that.
Have you ever heard the joke that Piano Man is about a guy who's at a gay bar who doesn't know he's at a gay bar?
No, I did not hear that joke.
And if you listen to the lyrics as this piano man is playing piano at a gay bar that he doesn't know is a gay bar. I'm gonna leave you with that.
That's your homework.
That's your homework.
So I'm gonna go play Piano Man after I'm done here and just very, very closely listen to the lyric.
Yeah. It's I'll look them up. Because we're here. Why wrap it up?
Why not?
Piano Man. Lyrics. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to think of a really good one to play really quick for you.
Okay.
So there's he says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. And then, now John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke or to light up your smoke, but there's someplace he'd rather be.
Okay.
Now Paul is a real estate novelist who never had time for a wife, and he's talking with Davy, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life.
Okay, I'm starting to see it now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it now.
And the piano, it smells like a carnival, and the microphone smells like a beer, and they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, "Man, what are you doing here?"
They're hitting on him.
I know, it's so much better.
You come to this place often?
It makes the song better. But I just can't, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can direct a music video and go on and direct a movie, but there's got to be an intermediary step. Or you got to have a knock it out of the park music video.
Because I'm just thinking, like, I don't see how you go from music videos for Genesis to major motion picture based off a video game.
Yeah.
There's something missing between point A and point B.
A lot of charisma.
Charisma, style, coherency.
Maybe a little.
Or nobody else wanted this project.
What's the other video game movies in the 90s? There was Super Mario.
Oh, in the wake of the Super Mario Brothers movie,
Double Dragon.
the year before,
Street Fighter.
I could see them having trouble recruiting a director for
I think this is
another movie made off a video game.
Yeah, and then there's Street Fighter, which is the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my.
Mortal Kombat. Wing Commander, which we covered. Wing Commander is technically a video game, like video game movie. And then we get into the 2000s with Lara Croft, Resident Evil, Doom.
Doom the movie.
Doom the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Has there ever been a really good video game adaptation?
You know, there's actually a director whose bread and butter is being hired to do video game adaptations specifically to bankrupt them. Yul Boll did video game adaptations for like Alone in the Dark. Oh god, I'm trying to remember. In the Name of the King was a video game adaptation. He did 3 of those movies. He did a handful. There was another one, House of the Dead, that he did that was horrible. And they specifically hire him for write-offs. Basically, I need you to make a movie that's we're going to be able to write off. And,
like the producers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this guy's credits. James Yukich. There's not a lot underneath his names. The only other thing that he did that was movie length was something recent for Netflix called You Gonna Be Kidding Me Live. He does comedy. He does comedy specials for people now.
Okay.
So Dennis Miller, Bruce Willis back in the 80s, he did a comedy special for him, The Return of Bruno. Yeah.
I mean, he felt like he had jokes, so all right.
High School Musical, the musical, the concert Extreme Access Pass.
So he's going on to have a storied career, is what you're saying.
There's definitely a story there I'm interested in. Some weird stuff. He even did a music video for Iron Maiden.
They made a Tekken video game. And
movie?
I stand
They made a movie.
corrected. A movie, sorry. Yes, I was reading and doing something else. They made a Tekken movie, and I stand corrected. It also has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
There's a lot of video game adaptations that just bombed outright.
Okay, successful video game, film, TV adaptation.
Last of Us.
Pokemon.
Okay. Well, that's successful in that it's made a lot. Like, they produced a lot.
And the upcoming Minecraft live-action movie.
Technically, the Sonic the Hedgehog films have done pretty well. Financially, I'm not saying they're great movies. Financially, they've done well.
I think Last of Us.
As a film, like TV adaptation that you could enjoy watching on like a deep level as a narrative without having played the video game, yes.
Well, think about what Double Dragon had to work with. Double Dragon had like, pew pew, I have 2 buttons and a joystick. Punch. Wiggle. Move back and forth.
Prior to the past decade or so, not necessarily a movie adapted from a video game, but a movie that revolves around a video game. That was sort of a glorified advertisement for both a video game and a peripheral. The Wizard.
Yeah.
That was a glorified advertisement for the Power Glove and for Super Mario 3 as it was coming out.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Have you seen Kung Fury?
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
With Hackerman, and he has the Nintendo glove, the Power Glove. I can hack it.
They finally made a video game for that.
Yeah, they made
Yes.
a side-scroller video game, and then they
Yep.
made a full-length movie, which I think came out last November.
Wasn't there supposed to be a sequel they were working on? Was that the sequel?
not a direct sequel, it's
there
just
was
like
the
a-
original one, which was like a 30-minute video that they released on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then that was successful enough that they went and made a full-length feature film.
Oh, okay. So
That
not a
was
sequel.
kind of an expansion of the original story.
Yeah.
Call
but
it the
not
director's cut,
necessarily
if you
what he
will.
did. Yes. a director's cut.
So,
Oh, the Power Glove.
the Power Glove. All in all, how would you rate this movie? We go on the Spinal Tap scale of 1 to 11.
Oh my god. What would I even rate it on? Rewatchability, like a 2. I don't think I'd ever pick this up and watch it again.
No.
Right.
Was it enjoyable as the time capsule of 90s-ness that it was? Then yeah, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, I'd say 7 out of 11.
Yeah, because this felt like the 90s distilled into a, we hope this is going to hit because we've hit everything that appears to be successful package.
And at no point in this movie did I feel really bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, they don't really
Rewatchability.
draw anything out.
A
Except
rating
for the figuring out how to use the power.
A rating on my end, rewatchability, honestly, at the beginning of the week when I watched it the first time, could have been like a 3 to a 4. Now that I'm at this end of the week and I've watched it 3 times, it's like a 1. It's like I have a DVD version of this. No, actually, Blu-ray, right over there. And I did not use the Blu-ray. I was watching it on Peacock. So I felt really stupid because I stumbled across it. I'm like, wait, I actually have this on Blu-ray? When did I buy this? I didn't remember buying it. Nostalgia factor, I would probably give it about like a 7.5. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely feels
Yeah.
of the time. It was definitely a 90s film. There was a lot of 90s sensibility. And they kept that PG-13 on a tether.
They did.
So-
They were holding on to that for dear life. I wonder if like Gen Z kids will look at this the way we look at 80s movies. Like I feel like the 80s movies feel like
If you
classic
could actually
comedy
get them to
us.
watch it.
Well, I feel like 80s movies feel like classic comedy to us because they were like we grew up through them, but we had to revisit them as adults to like fully grasp what they were about.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of Gen Z kids, these were the movies that were on TV when they were little, but they'll have to rewatch them when they're older to like really grasp them.
This
So I wonder if those poop jokes will really hit.
We can ask our niece to watch Ace Ventura.
No,
and
she'd
report.
never do it. Or never.
The problem with a lot of the stuff that I have on my shelf is a lot of it's boutique stuff from the 80s and 90s, some things from the 60s and 70s, and my son has taken these things to go watch in his room and always comes back with a full report of how problematic some of these movies really were.
Yeah.
And, they look at things through a very different set of eyes, you know, like, Dad, Long Duck Dong, what? You know, with 16 Candles. Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's where we came up with the like context lenses of the, if they knew better and they didn't do better, it's a problem. But they didn't know better, so they just did what they thought was funny, and so you just have to take it for what it is.
There was a lot more joking at other people's expenses back then. It was just,
It was okay to make jokes about people's differences. That was fine. And
Right. It was socially acceptable.
it doesn't
now
feel
it's not.
it doesn't feel great now, but that would have been perfectly fine. It would have been like long duck dong. Like no one would have been like, oh wait a minute.
I mean, the actor was perfectly fine doing this throughout the entire film. It was a running gag. And then you watch it now and you go, oh, that was probably one of the most blatantly racist characters in all of John Hughes' catalog. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just something you run into because we perceive the 90s as modern. Or like, oh, the 90s is the modern era. Oh, 90s is like modern. But it's not. It's 30 years ago.
Think of John Hughes films, though. How often did anything other than white characters end up in his movies?
None.
Yeah, so when he got the chance to handle something with a bit of racial sensitivity,
No.
He did
That
not.
wasn't a thing. But that wasn't a thing. That wasn't
No.
a convert. We didn't even have the language racial sensitivity.
No,
You've
right.
been like, why? He's a Chinese guy. Why would I not make a joke about that? I don't get it. Well, I mean, that would have been the mindset, you know. Like, I've been reading a lot of classic sci-fi novels, and every single character is this independently wealthy European man who has a plucky foreign sidekick.
And has invented a novel form of locomotion.
They universally have these like men who are their like manservants, and they're all these plucky foreigners from other non-European countries, so therefore lesser. And after a while, you're like, I'm gonna die. But they wouldn't have seen that as. I mean, it was just like, well, yeah, of course you have a guy. That's your guy. It would have felt unrealistic to not have the guy, like have the sidekick. Like, there's a movie which would be fun to do called Man Friday, and it's got Peter O'Toole in it, and I forget who plays the other character, but it's Robinson Crusoe from the point of view of Friday. And it's
where Robinson Crusoe
Crusoe's just an
helpless.
idiot. He's like a helpless idiot, and it's just Friday being like, how am I going to keep this man alive for like the whole movie? And it's just really funny because you read Robinson Crusoe and like Friday is the savage character, and then you watch this movie and it's like, no, only because he sees him as the savage character or whatever. I don't know, it's just interesting. I don't know, when you go through the history of film, it gets so interesting because I feel like in the 70s almost we would have had more awareness, and then by the 90s we don't again, and then again we have it now. Because yeah, I mean, that's the problem we ran into doing all those 70s movies, was a lot of the conversations we just couldn't have. Like Love at First Bite and the running joke of like, man, haven't you seen Roots? And it's like, I can't even have a conversation. I can't have a realistic conversation about that. Where do I go with that?
You have to have somebody else in the room for that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
You do.
I mean, it was, but at the time, it was funny. That was part of the joke. And then you watch it now and you're like, I'm uncomfortable. Can we stop making the Roots joke now?
It's like once, twice, oh, okay, stop.
We're done now.
Okay.
George Hamilton doesn't need to be making that crack. Thanks, I'm good now.
Of all people. I mean...
Okay, back to Double Dragon. George Hamilton.
I know we were talking about it.
Oh, okay. I loved all the actors showing up as themselves, but having to work, like, in news.
Like, we no longer have acting careers. We are currently your local news anchors.
Right.
This is the weather guy over here, Andy
the
Dick.
Entertainment industry has collapsed.
Yeah.
And this is Southern California, where they all live.
Nobody's watching movies. No movies. It's just basic television. That's it. For as cyberpunk as that was supposed to be, it's just basic television.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys want to plug your show?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
We're the
give you a little
Strange
time
and Beautiful Book Club. We're wildly unfocused. I'm not sure what we're doing next. Do you know what we're doing next?
I don't think we even have a schedule. Except for the books. We have a schedule for the books.
We do, and it's on Instagram. And we kind of follow it. And I think we're going to do a time travel theme for a while. Because there's quite a good... There's a lot to be plumbed from the time travel
Yeah,
realm.
I think our next theme is Jake Gyllenhaal time travel.
Yeah.
What?
Donnie Darko.
And Source Code.
Okay.
We could also throw in Prince of Persia there, too.
Shut the fuck up. I am not doing Prince. That is the only movie I've ever watched in the theater, and I thought, at the end, he reverses time all the way back to the beginning, and I was like, what about me? I want my hour and a half back, too. I want to have not sat through that.
I think realizing that he's just been replaced in the... he's replaced Patrick Swayze in the upcoming adaptation of Roadhouse. Not adaptation, but remake.
What?
Sorry, my apologies. So he's now going to be his character. So after realizing he's going to be the lead in Roadhouse, I sort of did a force reset in my brain. I can't remember a lot of Jake Gyllenhaal stuff right now.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Prince of Persia, where he plays a Persian prince.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
It's fine.
Maybe.
It's okay. We're probably not. That was a joke. But anyway, yeah, we
Speaking
do.
of
I
bad
changed
movies.
our podcast description because I felt like it was more accurate to say we kind of chase our current whims and interests. And I think right now we're sort of on a sci-fi kick, so we're going to do some more of that. I've been reading through some classic sci-fi. We just did all of Solaris, the book and then the Soviet adaptation, and then the George Clooney adaptation that came out in 2002.
Okay. I didn't really like that adaptation, to be honest with you.
I mean, he's naked in it, so...
Did nothing for me.
Female gaze.
Is that right? I mean, we had... Well, you could just listen to our podcast episode about it.
About each one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where can they find that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're like, please finish. You can find all of our podcasts on strangeandbeautiful.club, which is our website. We're about to wrap up Forever Night. We just finished the fourth to last episode, so we got 3 episodes left. And then we will have completed the entire television series.
I did the silly thing of actually listening to the first couple of episodes of that, and then I went, no, I have to go order the DVDs. And first one is easy to find.
Good. I was like, I've been on Threads. I've been doing more Thread stuff on it because it's just quick and I can put up a couple, whatever, text-based posts. And I just, like, somebody was like, oh my god, I didn't realize this was a vampire cop show. And I'm like, girl, it's the vampire cop show. It's like the great granddaddy of all vampire cop shows. And it's 90s, cheesy, awful. Like, it's just the best. Like, I miss television shows that are, like, each episode is a self-contained novella. And there might be like a through line, but mostly I can sit down and watch an episode and feel like I had a satisfying experience, and then I can get up. And I'm not required to sit and binge the whole thing. I'm not a binge TV watcher. So like a lot of modern like bingeable TV shows just I can't do it. I'm not interested for that long. And so like, I don't know, there's something magic about these like kind of wild west of television where it was, we've moved past the serial sitcom, but we haven't figured out where we are yet. So we're in this weird place where we're both a serial sitcom, but we're also more serious. And I just love that nebulous period, like in the 90s.
And you're checking off meeting all the cast.
Oh, yeah, I've met quite a few of the actors now, which is really
2.
fun. Yeah, 2, almost 3.
Getting ready to meet the 3rd.
Road tripping around the country to meet these people before they pass because it's a 30-year-old show. So
limited time.
Yeah.
Got a tight window to get everything done there.
Yeah, we're kind of trying to figure out what we're going to do next TV show-wise. So we do have a suggestion form on the website if anybody wants to give us a suggestion. It's strangeandbeautiful.club. It's like suggest a property. You just click on it and it's like a form you fill out. So it's really easy.
All right. Well, this is a fun podcast to do. In spite of me zoning out just maybe once or twice, it wasn't quite as bad as that first time. My brain was just flatlined that entire podcast. I was so lucky because Piper was there, right, to kind of keep things moving with you guys.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did that pitch storm at the end. That was really fun too.
And sorry, Piper, that you couldn't be here today due to some serious technical issues. We really did try to bring you on, so this was a 4-piece, but it did not work. So
yeah, next time.
I think that it's just this time of night. Like, she seems to have connection issues. Like, around this time of night, during the day, it's not quite as bad. I think that's because most people are not home and using the connection.
Yeah,
it's probably like the local network hub for her ISP.
Yeah,
is getting saturated by people streaming when they get home in the evening.
And to end the podcast, I can't really think that we did a whole lot of cursing on this particular episode. So, just to end it, as we normally do, drink some water, you thirsty bitches. And now, for a few ads from friends of the podcast.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
We are the hosts of the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. On the Strange and Beautiful Book Club, Matt and I share our adventures discovering forgotten movies, television shows, and books in the science fiction, horror, and fantasy genre.
Not necessarily good movies, though.
Oh, certainly not. We love a good, bad movie. The quirkier, the funnier, the more campy, the better.
But we talk about some classics, too.
Of course, we can't ignore our favorites like Highlander or the 1990s vampire cop television show, Forever Night, which we are currently covering 1 episode at a time.
As if I could forget.
Oh, hush. You love every minute of it.
Come join us every week as we discover, discuss, and dissect fantasy, horror, and sci-fi genre classics. New episodes release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful, too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye!
This is Two Chicks Talking Flicks, where we review movies. We try to dig deeper and go more in depth.
And profound for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, what? We even bring up relevant topics.
I remember from Punky Brewster that you don't go inside the fridge.
And we're here to have those tough conversations. Mm-hmm.
And she was wearing a white dress, which
was yellow.
Huh?
It was yellow. So if this sounds like the podcast for you, please enjoy. New episodes every Tuesday.